Okay, so in today's session we'll talk about the why Spring Boot security we should use, what is main intention to give use behind the Spring Boot security, how we are using that, auto completion, how auto completion will work, and if you don't want that auto completion thing, how can you configure the manually the Spring security, examples about the Spring Boot security, and upcoming sessions around the Spring Boot security. Okay, so let's deep about the security. So suppose if you build one application or API which is get user, okay, get user, whatever users are in your system, that API get exposed. So if you build this application or build this API open-ended without any authentication or authorization, so what are the main consensus? So if you build open without any authorization or authentication, that means anyone can use that use this API and pull the data. So first problem is that anyone can access your data, and it's open, so anyone can use your data. And second, if anyone want to break your system, they do DNS, like a denial of a system attack. That means the thousands of requests continuously sent on your application and until your application goes down. So that's why we are building the security to our API. Whatever we are building, we are providing a security over it. Okay, basically that's about the means why security is required. So why should ideally we go with the Spring Boot? There are multiple applications are providing the security framework or LDAP kind of integration also there, which providing this authorization and authentication, because you know that Java is the most trending language for the build that enterprise application, and Spring Boot is the most famous framework to build that application. So if you are using a similar context application, like for web application you are using Spring Boot, for batching you are using Spring Boot batching, for security you are using Spring Boot, so you are in an ecosystem of a Spring Boot. So that's easy to use for us. That's the main intention, to use Spring Boot security. Okay, let's try means how actually login application work. Okay, if you are trying to access any application, so whoever want to provide the security, they block you at a home page or a landing page. Whenever you land on any home page, you ask about the username and password, and when you provide the correct details, then only you will enter into system. So this is the more basic way to avoid the unnecessary access these resources or the data from your system. Okay, let's discuss about the authorization and authentication. So I build one employee system, and employee system, the manager, if the fresher student join into system, and he have the access to get the data, okay, get the all org data, so like salary and department. So that is not applicable for fresher user or the manager. If I am the manager, I get only details whoever child for me, okay, but not from the different parent, like manager's manager. If he is a parent manager or a CEO, the CEO can access all the data from his organization. So the level by check is called as a authentication, means certain user have the capability or have authorized to access that resource, but if user is have the valid ID or valid proof, like suppose my company is a Google company, so anyone can come into Google ecosystem. But if you want to access certain HR or a finance team cubicles or a base, then you want certain that access of that area. So this is then a simple example where authorization and authentication. Authorization means you have the access, but authentication, that means for a particular resource or a particular operation, are you permitted or not? Like I just go on a more details, like if you are working with if you have the authorization, that means you can check the name and basic information about anyone from the Facebook, but if you want to go in the details like photo section and all the details, then you should be a friend. So you should be a friend, that is a authentication, means you should authenticate it like a friend. But authorization means when you have a valid Facebook account and you have your own account, that means you can check the basic information. Okay, that's the basic difference, means the only see the basic information or to get all the details of my friend. That's the basic difference between authorization and authentication. Okay, yeah, let's deep dive into Java Spring security, how it's actually internally work. Suppose our request came from here, so and this is a browser, or you can say this is a Postman API, like Postman UI. So from Postman you hit this request, and this is the REST API. So REST endpoint, we already mentioned, this is our application is deployed. So Spring security first place intercept our request, means here we are intercepting that request, not forwarding till our validation get completed. We are not sending it to it. So first Spring security intercept this request. Intercept means just capture all the details, like in example you will get the details like JWT auth token filter, which provided by a Spring, where we are capturing all the data, and that provided by JWT provider. Okay, so there are three things, means is it a new user or is it an existing user? Suppose the user is a new, so first we need to create the user and password and auth token for that server. So here if you check, like we are creating the details like username, password, auth token with the security context, and authentication will happen with the security context handler. But if this is an existing thing, then authentication manager also provided by security. Spring Security, and Authentication Manager decided that it's a valid user or not. If not, then we are directly throwing that application with the authentication entry point. But the user is valid, then we are going in a deeper details and check the user details and user permission. Means first place that user is a valid, but we need to check the permission. Like I have the Facebook account, but I need to check whatever profile I'm visiting, is it my friend or not, that kind of thing. So here we are checking user details and implemented by user principal, and we are pulling all the data from the MySQL databases. Okay, this way we can validate that that data, and if it's a permitted, then and only we are sending the that request to the API and getting the response from the API. But in any flow between, we are getting to know that this request is not validated, we are directly returning from here only, not we are passing till the end and then getting the component. So that's why this Spring Boot security component is important. Just to give the simple picture about this, like this is our Postman API. Okay, Postman API hit this request, but here we are intercepting that request or capturing that request. Okay, capturing request and validating that request, and if validate, then only forward. Means if you are saying true, then only forwarding to the REST application. Okay, and if a request is not validating, it false, then we are directly returning with the error that user don't have access to certain resources or that kind of thing. So this is one abstract picture of a Spring Boot security, but yeah, whatever concept we learn here, like Authentication Manager or Security Context Handler, that you will get to know more details in a below example. Okay, so first, okay, so next topic is auto configuration. So how Spring Security get auto configured. So there are a few steps. Means pom.xml entries, dependency we need to add, and certain annotation. But just to move faster, so whenever you are using auto configuration thing, that time the password is logged into your console, so you need to copy that and enter that auto configuration is happen. But if you want, there are multiple applications, like multiple configuration, like this is the auto configuration thing. You want otherwise, if you want to do manual thing, then there are two ways. You can through the application property you can mention like in a Spring property. But if you want to user base, like I am the Sachin, so my password is the Tendulkar, but if name is a Virendra, then that should be the Sevak. So all this data we can control over the DB also. So that are the multiple ways of auto configuration and manual configuration. Okay, we'll go in a deeper with the example things. So how, if you have the basic Spring Boot application, till that session you will get all the details, like to up your normal Spring application. If you haven't checked our previous videos, please go and check the sessions, so you will get to know how to up your normal application. So in that application you just need to add this dependency, where we are mentioning additional thing like a Spring Boot starter. Earlier we are mentioning just addition, we need a security packages here. So if you mention this a pom.xml and run your mun clean install, so all the dependency directly get installed in your application. So and after completion, this your application is ready to serve the security feature. Okay, then your starter class, like entry point of your system. So if you are this is a Spring Boot application, so if interviewer asks what is the entry point of your system, so entry point is this main class, like public static void main. Here actually we are saying Spring application run, means this is the entry point of your application, because you are mentioning Spring Boot application as annotation. So from here your application getting started. So this is a predefined code get from Spring IO initializer for us. Okay, so what are the new things which is required to check the Spring web security, means on that. So this is the annotation where you need to mention like enable web security, and here you need to mention extend your class with the web security config adapter. Earlier we discussed. Okay, so here we are getting a method to override. First method is a configure. Okay, configure means here you are configuring all the requests, what request you should authorize or authenticate, or which should directly open to the end users. Like earlier we discussed the blank page where we are getting username and password inputted from the user, so that page should open to all. So that's why here we are mentioning, if you check here, we are saying that HTTP. Okay, HTTP is RHTTP security authorization request. Okay, authorization request which are need to match. Okay, any match means slash or it's slash at home, that permit all, means all the requests with the slash and slash home, that by defaultly permitted, but any request other than this should be authenticated. Okay, I just rephrase this. Okay, slash means if I say my application is there, slash or my app slash home, both the request. Okay, home. So these two requests are allowed without the authentication, but if any request is not a part of this, then apply the authentication filter over it. Okay, so and the login means if user want to do the login. Okay, these are the way how we can define the means move out the certain APIs or move certain pages out of the security context, so anyone can access that. So currently the landing page, home page and login page are accessible by end user, or it's open for all, but all the data is authenticated, rest of all the data is authenticated. Okay, this is the one way. Apart from that, in a global configuration we are passing certain details, like here if you check, like we are mentioning global configuration, and here we are the authentication manager builder. If you I will show you. This is the authentication manager. Okay, so here we are defining our authentication manager builder, and here we are passing that in memory authentication, and username and password is this, and role is this for our user. Okay, so here we are created our user, and we are passing that user to authentication manager builder. So this is the way we are managing that. Okay, that's the example one. But if you, okay, here we are assigning the role user for all. So till this in this application we what we achieve till now. Okay, we do there is a one end user. Okay, end user connect with our application or UI, where 3 application is accessible for him with the slash home and slash login. Okay, using this, if data is authenticated, then all the requests are accessible to this. Okay, this here we are not here we are just checking user is a valid or not. We haven't checked the role of that user, and this is go to the database. Okay, till now we explore that. But suppose if you have such system where end user should come here like slash home, but okay, slash home, but based upon the user, like user is an admin, then he will get all the data. Or if it's a manager, then he will get only reported data. Okay, reported data from application. Okay, end system is the same for he is also connected with the he, and both are connected with the database. So if you want to build this system, so we'll cover in a example 2. Till now we covered first part in example 1. Okay, so how to define a role specific security configuration we are checking. Till now whatever we are defining, like the pom.xml entries and the starter point, which is the same, the only slightly configuration changes is required. We'll just touch upon that. Okay, so enable web security is the default. We need to mention this annotation. Okay, we mentioned that. Apart from that, earlier also we extend our class with the web security configuration adapter. Here also we are doing the same, but in addition to that, here if you check that, we are providing the user builder with the default password encoder and in memory user details manager. In memory user details manager, we are creating a 2 users with a different role. One is the user and one is the admin. Okay, and earlier also this is the new configuration we are adding, like user details and the new configuration from earlier example. Just we are adding the user detail service. In a user detail service, 2 users with a different role, user and admin. Okay, but rest of the things are the same. Like here we are doing like slash index and slash admin and slash user are the authenticated, but slash index is a permitted all. From login and from logout are the also open-ended to everyone. Okay, slash logout also we are if anything goes wrong, we are redirecting this request to the slash logout. Okay, that's the configuration we are doing. Just to recap, these only few things we are doing new, like user builder and assigning to user that. Apart from that, okay, earlier we are not haven't checked the API, write the API, because everything is the same, no need to do addition. But here we want to check the role of that user. So that's the basic change is required. So if this is a user API, so no need to, here we just need to check the user is a valid or not. Okay, that is automatically taken care by system. So we are just mentioning controller over here, and we are writing this API. So because by default it check only, we are allowing the valid request, because we are here in a configuration we are saying all the requests should be authenticated. So if request came here, means that is authenticated, but for update we need to check the particular admin role only. So here you just to mention that a pre-authorized has a role admin. That means you are checking pre-authorization, and inside that has role admin. This admin role only can access this API. Okay, that means if the any user who have a user role, that cannot access this API, because here at the start point we are saying in a pre-authorization this code block get executed. This is the annotation provided by Spring Boot, but in a pre-authorization this has role check will happen, and if user don't have the user admin role, that user get rejected. Okay, earlier if you know, we created a 2 role, Irfan and admin. So if Irfan try to log in and update this thing, update the user details, it will fail, because Irfan don't have the access for to update. But if you check the admin, have the admin role, so admin can update this data. Okay, yeah. And we talk about the upcoming session. So till now in a security we touch upon the basic points of Spring security. But if you want to custom login, how to custom login, database authentication, then JDBC user details manager, password bcrypt, enable CS cross-site scriptings, and authentication handler, OAuth 2 and OAuth 2. If you want any session out of this, let us know. We'll do a separate session on it. Like Spring Boot, Auth and OAuth 2 are the trending topic currently. Multiple in interviews they ask questions around this. If you want, let me know. Okay, thanks all, bye.